another Stay Fresh production. My name is Justin Copeland, and on this channel, Stay Fresh Productions, we talk about everything dealing with fragrances. If you have any interest in that kind of content, then you might want to consider increasing, elevating, improving, and evolving your freshness by subscribing to the Fresh Squad. Your freshness being you bringing your best self in every situation and every occasion, and using fragrance as a foundation of that. You'll feel it and others will smell it. Now, today we're diving into what I hope is a helpful topic for really any guy out here, but especially those who might be a little bit new to fragrances. But you don't have to be new, because I do have some stuff that even you who've been involved in this for some time, you might not have heard about. So I have a little bit of something for everyone in this video, which is 10 fragrances that every man should own in his wardrobe. Now, I've split it up into 10 categories, and the categories matter more than the fragrances themselves. They're just guidelines, things to think about, spaces and time to fill with an appropriate fragrance. You can obviously use these fragrances I'm talking about here on this list, or you can find your own that fit in these categories as I'll describe them. The 10 categories are every day, so basically a versatile fragrance that you can wear anytime, anywhere. We have casual day warm, so casual fragrances to wear during the daytime in the warmer months. Sophisticated day warm, fragrances to wear during the day in the warmer months that are a little bit more sophisticated, maybe something you can wear to work if you work in an office or something like that. Sophisticated evening warm, which is fragrances to wear during the evening time during the warmer months that carry a little bit more class to them. Date warm, which is kind of the opposite, so fragrances you can wear on a date or some kind of casual outing during the nighttime in the warmer months. We have date cool, so the same thing as that, except in the cooler weather, something to wear during the nighttime in the cooler months for a more casual outing or on a date. We have casual day cool, so like we did in the summer, a fragrance to wear during the daytime during the cooler months that is a little bit more casual, something that's easier to reach for. We have sophisticated day cool, which is something to wear during the daytime that is a little bit more sophisticated during the cooler weather. So again, maybe a cooler weather fragrance to wear to work. We have sophisticated evening cool, a fragrance to wear during the evening time that's a little bit more sophisticated during the cooler months. And we have Showstopper. And this is a fragrance that I'd say evenings only. Wear it at night, turn heads. It's bold, it's not for everyone, but if you wear it right, you're gonna make an impact. Let's dive right into the list. Okay, our anytime fragrance, one of the newest from the house of Dior, something that is a little bit boring, but you need a little bit of something that doesn't have too much complexity if you want to wear it every day for any occasion. It should fit every time, hence the name Everyday Scent, and we're dealing with Dior Homme 2020. I do really enjoy this fragrance. The more I wear it, the more I smell it, the more people give me positive feedback when I wear it. It is so versatile, but at the same time, it doesn't smell like everything. A lot of stuff that has been coming out over the past 5 or 6 years has been in this blue category, stuff that smells like shower gel or something fresh out of the shower, clean, maybe a bit watery or aquatic, those kinds of things. Just fresh, but this is more than just that. It is woody and dry and fresh, with a little bit of a balsamic sweetness in there. It's a little bit of everything all at once, but it's not a blue scent by any means. It simply smells really good. Definitely a compliment getter. Definitely something that fits any occasion, really dressed up or dressed down, day or night. That's what we want out of an everyday scent. And that is Dior Homme 2020. I'm gonna have links to everything down below. Okay, next category, casual day warm. So a fragrance to wear during the warmer months, casually during the daytime. Something that's easy to wear, something that you could wear, you know, either hanging out with friends or on maybe a daytime lunch date or something like that. That smells really good, but it's not too serious. And we're talking about Sean John 3 AM. This is no stranger. This is one of my favorites here on the channel. This is a staple, mainly because of this right here. Damn. This does have a uniqueness to it while still being very appealing and maybe a little bit familiar to most people. Very, very effervescent and fresh. You get this tonic water accord mixed with some fig leaf. There's citruses for sure. A little bit of cardamom adds some cooling, fresh spiciness, and some leather as it dries down. All in all, it's spicy, it's bubbly. It kind of smells like you have your nose in a glass of like fizzy water or some kind of sparkling water or something like that, but with a little bit more character to it and a little bit of sexiness too, but still perfect for the daytime, I'd say. Now, our next category, sophisticated daytime warm fragrances to wear, again, during the daytime, in the warmer months that are a little bit more sophisticated, something that's a little bit more formal perhaps. And this is something that would work perfectly for that situation. Tom Ford Beau de Jour. This is a man's scent. This is something that harkens back to earlier fragrances from, decades past. These very classic style barbershop fragrances, things that men would wear to smell fresh and clean, but in a very deep and rich way. You have a lot of aromatics in here, tons of lavender. You have a dry oak moss in here. You even have a little bit of a sweet, warm creaminess, but it is mostly on the fresh side of things, and it's quite powerful, so be careful. This stuff is no slouch, and it is incredible. It does have a little bit of a vintage flair, so I'm warning you, it does smell a little bit mature, but not necessarily dated. I still recommend it. I think it's a stunning fragrance, one that works perfectly for this situation. Definitely gonna smell sophisticated. Tom Ford Beau de Jour. Okay, now we're talking about smelling sophisticated in the warmer months during the evening time. So you want something that has a little bit more richness to it, a little bit more sweetness in there, but not too dense. It should have a little bit of a fresh or aromatic quality to it. And the fragrance I've chose for this is Roverto Cavalli Uomo, which is one of the cheapest fragrances on this list for sure. And it is quite different. It's quite unique, not totally off the wall, but just kind of a beautiful fragrance for a man. This smells like honey and floral. There's a black violet note in here. It's a sweeter floral note combined with a little bit of sweet, slightly sticky honey. You do have a nice freshness from lavender in the heart, so it does keep it kind of open, something that's still okay in the heat. Overall, the scent profile is a little bit on the softer side, but by no means a complete wimp. It will last, it will project. It's gonna last on the skin for maybe about 5-6 hours, which is all you really need out of an evening wear. It smells handsome. There's a bit of a sexiness in there. Sweetness is always great, especially when there's a little bit of warmth. It's gonna help it push and gets a little bit sweeter in the air, and it smells very captivating, very, very alluring. That's Roverto Cavalli Uomo. Okay, now let's talk about a great fragrance to wear on a date or some kind of casual outing during the warmer months. This is a little bit on the playful side, and I think it's good to be playful when you're going out at night casually, and your scent is a great way to add to that. And we're talking about Green Lover from the house of Lolita Lempicka. This is a very interesting fragrance. It is not what it sounds like. It is not a very green scent at all. There is some fresh mint in here, which is technically green, but wow. Lots of orange, looks like a sweet mandarin orange with vanilla. Those are the three main notes I get. And they come together to be this creamy, sweet, vanilla, citrusy, minty fragrance, which kind of smells a little bit like an orange sickle, that orange with vanilla combo. It's delicious, and delicious can be very playful at night when dressed casually, and this is a great one to do it with, and it's not that expensive at all. And it's quite different. It's a little bit of a unique profile to wear during this occasion. I'd highly recommend it. Okay, we gotta be playful during the cooler months too, and boy, this is a very playful fragrance. This is a delicious fragrance, delectable, mouth-watering, from the house of Paco Rabanne. 1 Million Lucky has been one of my favorites for a while since I first smelled it, and this stuff does perfectly during this occasion. It smells amazing in the air. Oh man, and it's quite different. It doesn't smell like everything else out there, especially everything that came out during the time that this came out, which was maybe a couple years ago at this time I'm shooting this. But you get kind of this fresh aldehydes, which is kind of a sparkling, fresh, clean note mixed with hazelnut. So this warm nuttiness mixed with some plum, a dark fruitiness that's not quite at the forefront, but honey, which is the big proponent of sweetness in this fragrance. It's an interesting mix. My mouth is watering right now. It smells kind of like a dessert, but not completely edible. It's simply alluring in the air. Very playful stuff, perfect for a date. Don't overspray it because it can get really sweet really fast. You got to be careful, but it is to die for. That is 1 Million Lucky. Great for a cool weather, casual outing or date at night. Okay, now we want a fragrance to wear casually during the day, during the cooler months. And I think this is a great choice for that. This is called Versace Eros Flame. A flanker of the very, very acclaimed original which is something that's more for the evening time. Very playful. I used to own it, not anymore. Wow, this is a slightly more mature version of that. You know, that sweetness is in there. It's almost bubblegum-like, but they've toned it way down. And instead you have a lot of blood orange. Lots of this very tangy, very bright, very mouth-watering citrus quality, which I think works perfectly for the daytime, but it's still quite a casual fragrance. You have some spices in here, you have some woods in here, you have a little bit of tonka bean, which adds to the sweetness, but again, nowhere near as sweet as the original, which makes it a little bit more appropriate for the daytime, I would say. Smells great. I think it was kind of overlooked, maybe a little bit underrated. I think I prefer it to the original. That's Versace Eros Flame, perfect for casual daytimes in the cooler months. Now we have something to wear that's a little bit more sophisticated during the daytime, during the cooler months. Again, maybe something you can wear at work if you work in kind of a professional setting. And from Varvatos. We can't do without it. This is vintage, still one I'm always recommending. I still love this fragrance. It is so professional. It smells like a boss. It smells like someone who has it together. It smells a little bit mature, but kind of like Beau de Jour, not dated in any way. This is an aromatic lavender with kind of a sweet, spicy cinnamon. There's a little bit of quince in there, adding a touch of a fruitiness. You got some rhubarb, which is also quite heavy in this, adding this, again, slightly sweet, fruity, but kind of tart vibe in there. A little bit of suede leather in the background, maybe even a touch of tobacco. Very, very smooth blend, comes together. Kind of sweet, kind of leathery, kind of fresh. Very interesting. There's some kind of X factor in this fragrance that is hard to nail down, that gives it that slightly mature edge. I think that's what makes it very professional. It is slightly on the darker side of things, which I think suits the cooler weather, but it does have enough of an aromaticity that makes it suitable for, you know, kind of close quarters in the daytime. Varvatos Vintage, handsome stuff. Okay, sophisticated evening during the cooler months. Something to wear on a night out when you're dressed a little bit nicer, all black tie and jacket kind of thing, or even a tuxedo. Something that you just want to smell really refined, maybe kind of dark and sexy in a mysterious way, but still has a formal edge, still works in a more formal setting, just like this bottle. L'Homme Ideal L'Intense from Guerlain, one of my favorites from the collection. And this takes that DNA, that sweet, creamy almond DNA with a fruity edge, makes it very spicy with chili pepper, and makes it kind of dark and enigmatic with some smoke. So there's this smoky nuance to it, along with the spicy, creamy sweetness. Overall, it's quite dark, but that spice gives it kind of a rough edge here. It's sexy, but again, it's something that you can dress up very well, and it's quite unique. Nothing smells quite like this. You are going to stand out, but I think everyone's going to pretty much like how you smell. Smells amazing. L'Homme Ideal L'Intense from Guerlain. Awesome scent. Okay, for the show-stopping fragrance, again, something that is bold, something that is not for everyone, at least in terms of the wearer, but I think if you wear it properly, it will impact everyone you meet. Whether or not they tell you smell amazing or they like what you have on, they may not say anything, but you will leave an impression on them. They will remember you, but you gotta dress it up and you gotta do it at night. I have two choices. One of them might be considered a little feminine by a lot of guys, which is why I have another one that will be on the opposite side of the spectrum. So this first one is Black Orchid from Tom Ford. This is the eau de parfum. There's also an eau de toilette that's a little bit less intense. This one is very intense. This is one of the first fragrances I think that ever came out from the brand. Wow. Dark, sweet, floral. There's this vanilla and truffle kind of vibe, but truffle as in like what you find in the ground, like mushrooms, which gives this very interesting, slightly dank earthiness to the scent. Kind of a primal nature, but it is ultimately quite sweet and creamy, and that orchid accord is very rich. This fragrance screams like purple. I see a deep, rich purple when I smell this fragrance. Wear it in all black. Don't put on too much. I would put on no more than 4 sprays of this, maybe 3, honestly. And I think it's gonna leave a very interesting aura, something that is, again, maybe gonna turn heads, make some eyebrows go up, or at the very least, people are gonna remember you like, man, I remember you smelled very provocative. That's one way to do it with Tom Ford. Black Orchid. Or if Black Orchid is not your jam, we have the other side of the spectrum, which is unmistakably masculine. Again, very bold, not for everyone. Definitely something I would get a sample of if you can before going in on a full bottle. This is Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Homme. Honestly, this is a masterpiece if you're asking me in regards to the designer market. Gucci really went out on a limb with this one. Unfortunately, it was discontinued because it didn't sell well, and it's understandable why, because this is a dark, leathery, cypress heavy patchouli vetiver. It's very woody, it's very dry and leathery and a little bit medicinal. Not much freshness here at all, no ounce of sweetness in here at all. But if you dress it up, if you dress it in all black, I do think it's a showstopper. It turns heads. Again, people may not give you a compliment, but they will remember that they met you. You're gonna have an impact. Gucci Guilty Absolute Pour Homme. Something like this, I think every man needs in their wardrobe. You need something to stop traffic. This will do it. Okay, those are my picks for 10 fragrances I think every man should have in their wardrobe. Again, you can use these categories as guidelines, just something to think about. And you might already have fragrances in your wardrobe that fit into these categories as I've defined them. But again, you can always use my recommendations if you want to just go out and get those. Again, there's going to be links to everything down in the description. If you like the video, please like the video. Really appreciate it. I would love to know what fragrances you would fit into these categories, or if you like any of the ones that I've already mentioned. Again, let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.